Sportives or gran fondos continue to soar in popularity, and understandably so. Often they take place in some of the most beautiful places in the world, and they give you a chance to test yourself against like-minded riders on very tough terrain that sometimes you'll see the pros race over too.
Yeah, so if you've got one this year, you'll want to be at your best. So here are 5 killer training sessions to get you fitter than ever. Let's go.
Come on. This first session is a classic which I do regularly when I'm trying to get fit, and if it's a hilly sportive you're preparing for, this one will be particularly useful for you.
Yeah, the session lasts for a total of 3 hours, but within that are 3 blocks at sweet spot. Now in terms of effort for those riding on feel, it should be difficult but certainly sustainable. And if you're riding with a power meter, you want to look at riding at 90% of your FTP or 93% of your functional threshold heart rate.
Yeah, once you've done that first 30-minute block at sweet spot, ride endurance steady pace for 25 minutes, then do your second 30-minute sweet spot block, another 25 minutes at endurance pace before your final 30-minute sweet spot block, and then it's just a case of a 10-minute cool down on your way home.
Now if you're first starting out and this is new, try and do 3 sets of 15-minute blocks within a ride of an hour and a half, and then build up gradually as you get closer to your event.
Session number 2 is also extremely potent, albeit very simple. Again, warm up for 10 to 15 minutes, then drop straight into what I call tempo zone. Now this is not quite as hard as the sweet spot that we described for session 1, but it's harder than a normal endurance pace. I'm going to go into it for 2 solid hours. And that might sound very simple, quite easy, and it might feel quite easy for the first 30 minutes or so. But if you judge this one right, the last 10, 15 or 20 minutes are going to feel very hard indeed.
Yeah, it's a great way for increasing and improving your endurance without needing to ride for hours and hours on end, making it very time efficient. This next one is probably our favourite session, as mentally it's the easiest whilst offering heaps and heaps of benefits. Now, when you're riding in a group, you'll definitely push yourself that little bit harder than when you're out on your own, especially if you're in a group of riders that are a little bit fitter than yourself. And there's also the competition factor to think about too, as each rider subconsciously wants to look strong and cool, and each rider digs just that little bit deeper to stay in contact with the group and hold that wheel.
Yeah, it's not just that element though. Group rides are also fantastic for teaching you new skills that could save you energy on the day of your event, even if you're not actually any fitter at all. So gradually you're going to learn the best place to sit on the wheel to gain maximum benefit from slipstreaming, and you're also going to gradually gain confidence in getting right up close to the wheel in front of you or sitting right in the middle of a group. And that, on the day of your event, is going to save you bundles of energy on the flatter sections.
Nearly lost it then, Dan.
This next session is also very time efficient. Climbing repeats. So again, you want to warm up for a good 15 to 20 minutes, then find yourself a climb that's going to take about 5 minutes when you're going pretty hard. Repeat that climb 5 to 10 times at a perceived effort of about 9 out of 10, 10 being as hard as you could possibly go. Now, in the initial stages of this session, you can give yourself about 5 minutes of very easy riding to recover between each one. But as you near your target event, and as time progresses, you can gradually reduce that recovery time right down.
Yeah, the initial sessions will help with your climbing and your ability to sustain hard efforts, whilst the latter sessions, well, they'll help with your recovery, and they'll best help replicate the sort of climbs and the sort of efforts that you'll be doing on climbs on your Sportive. Now, you might think there's no way a 20-minute turbo session is going to equip you for a Gran Fondo or a Sportive, where you could be sat in the saddle for upwards of 4, 5 or 6 hours. Well, you'd be wrong, because this particular session is designed to increase your FTP, your functional threshold power. Now, if you do this session 2 or 3 times a week, you can improve the power you can sustain on a long climb in a Sportive, or conversely make it far easier to sustain the same amount of power. So if you can increase your FTP from 200 to 240 watts, for example, riding on a climb in a Sportive at about 180 watts is going to feel a whole lot easier. I don't know who designed this video though, it's absolutely brutal. Oh, it was me. Before completing any of these training sessions, it's worth bearing in mind that all training plans incorporate rest and progression. It's the rest that makes you get better, and it's the progression that's very important to make sure you don't overtrain and burn yourself out physically and mentally.
Yeah, very good point. Now, if you'd like to see our tips on how to prepare for a Sportive ride, click just up there. Meanwhile, down there are our tips on how to get better on long climbs. You can subscribe to the channel for free, that's the box in the middle there. And if you've liked this video, give it a thumbs up down below.